I wonder how many people are going to come. I wonder if everything's in order. Is this thing late? Just all of the logistics and all of the stresses that can come together. So, I want to contrast that with the energy that I was embodying during my time of hosting 1,000 events. Welcome to Holistic Ambition, where we talk with visionary leaders who are redefining what it means to be successful. We cover ways you can live with more meaning, well-being, fun in your career, business, and relationships. I'm your host, Stephanie Thoma, life coach for ambitious professionals and author of Confident Introvert. Today, we are going to talk about how I hosted 1,000 successful events. So it is a fallacy that you necessarily need to pay your dues and host a bunch of events that totally flop. You can actually plug yourself into producing, curating, and hosting a high volume of events and have them actually go pretty well. So there are 5 key actions you can take to host successful events. The first is to get really good at attending events. So you may even occasionally offer help when you're at these events, but the key is to have a sense of presence and to go to a high volume of events. I typically recommend that my clients attend at least one event a week. That could be a social event, that could be a networking event. But when I first started attending a large number of events, it wasn't that I had in mind that I wanted to do that for market research. It was really for the love of community and events and wanting to be a part of something greater and going where you're drawn to, whether there is a logical reason or not. You can go to a tech event, whether you are in the technology sector or not. Just following your curiosity and trusting that you'll be planting seeds that, who knows, they can sprout in one way, shape, or form later. Second up is get good at volunteering behind the scenes. So let's say that you've been attending events and you've gotten pretty good at offering assistance. Maybe you're offering to help put trash away at the end. What you want to do when you're volunteering is observe the interworkings behind the scenes. So I can speak to my trajectory of getting good at volunteering and how that served me. So, for example, with TEDx Marin and ultimately TEDx San Francisco, I ended up starting at TEDx Marin as an event volunteer, just kind of an usher, literally standing in hallways, pointing to where people could sit down. And within 7 years, I became the community lead at TEDx San Francisco. And the timeline was collapsed a bit when I started attending Young Professional of San Francisco events, YPOSF. So I attended the events for a couple of years. And after 2 years, I became an ambassador. And then 3 years after that, 5 years total since I started attending the events, I became their director of PR. So again, these are volunteer opportunities where you are getting more and more involved and showing up consistently and allowing yourself to be recognized for not only contributing your, let's say, positive energy and aptitude for helping, but also your leadership capabilities over time. Third, get to know the hosts of the event. So I invite you to do these 3 things with the hosts: support them, invite them, and collaborate with them. There's no need to do this alone. We are stronger together. We get further together than going alone. So, when you are, let's say, attending these events, continually offering a helping hand and to avoid becoming overbearing, maybe you just want to check in once and you can try 1 of 2 things. Leave it open-ended, go ahead and ask, hey, is there anything that I can help with? Or if you see that they're struggling with something, you can specifically ask, hey, would you mind if I helped you out with that? And let's say, then you're actively supporting them. Maybe if you know of something cool that's going on, you want to go ahead and invite the event hosts, because oftentimes we'll touch on this a little bit later. Sometimes event hosts, they're there holding a container, But sometimes they're so busy, they're not even proactively making friends because it can be a really selfless process, right? Of holding the space, all of the logistics. So really, as long as it feels genuine for you, being a source of support and friendly person with the event host. And ultimately, when you would like to host something, ideally that is in alignment with what they've already created, but not in direct competition, go ahead and invite them to collaborate. It could be a collaboration with their organization, with their work, and maybe your organization or your work. Inviting those collaborations can do a few things. It strengthens your relationships, it strengthens your credibility, and partnerships they're more or less testimonials. They're implied testimonials where if you are partnering with a brand, with a person, at least at that point in time, you are giving each other a stamp of not just approval, but celebration. So their existing community has an opportunity to get to know and celebrate what you stand for. Number 4, have genuine love of the process. So the intention here is to give, not to get. Although, as you are an event host, you will see that you do typically receive a fair amount of invitations. However, genuinely loving the process is so important because whenever you take a break from hosting, when you stop hosting, or a pandemic happens, for example, there can be a shift in the connectedness of the community as it pertains to you if you're no longer actively managing it, right? And I'd also like to share a story of a sort of cautionary tale before I started proactively hosting events. And when I was in that phase of attending, there was a woman who was a community builder in San Francisco, and I really loved attending her community events. She brought really great people together, and I considered her, acquaintance, friend. Didn't know her too well, but there came a point where I think I had attended maybe 3 of her events, and doing the typical thanking her for inviting me, then at the event mixing and mingling, meeting new people. And I believe it was the 3rd event that she pulled me aside and she looked kind of upset and she said, "Hey, it looks like you're actually better friends with so and so than me. And I'm hosting this event, so you should be better friends with me." And I remember I was kind of taken aback because I was thinking, that's not the way this works. And I think I probably said something to that effect, probably with a little more finesse. But yeah, I mean, hopefully you don't find yourself in that situation. But as an event host, check yourself. Are you giving to get? Because, that's the whole point. The whole point of hosting an event is to bring people together and hopefully they become better friends than you. Because if your events are well attended, you probably don't have the bandwidth to really dedicate all the time and energy and effort it takes to maintain quality, close friendships with every single one of your attendees. So it really becomes an opportunity for you to release and let go. It's about this inner knowing that you are providing a container that really allows people to not only make lifelong friendships. I can trace back multiple marriages to my events, and most people that are married now that met at my events, they were not aware that they met at my event, but I just kind of, I have that inner knowing, I have that awareness. And that brings us to our next point number 5 of detachment. This is a big one. When you are hosting an event, or you may have a sort of frenetic energy. Oh, I wonder how many people are going to come. I wonder if everything's in order. Oh, is this thing late? Just all of the logistics and all of the stresses that can come together. So, I want to contrast that with the energy that I was embodying during my time of hosting 1,000 events, which was one of being purely present in the process of having fun, coming up with different themes and topics, and knowing that I was going to have so much fun and trusting that whether it was a large group, whether it was a small group, that it was just going to be something that people were going to enjoy. And, certainly there were times when, let's say, I had a more modest turnout and we still had a lot of fun, or more consistently than not, there were extremely large turnouts. And, quality is not like quality over quantity. Sure, like that can be great, but also a really huge, robust gathering can also be really fun. So to not discount either one, but to be so immersed in the process that you're really not stressing out about it. And even if something goes a little bit wrong, you're able to understand that just like with a work of art, the artist that's painting and there's a slight smudge, most people don't notice. So you just get to kind of work it like, oh yeah, that was meant to happen. Or, okay, we're just going to work with that as it is, and allow yourself to laugh things off, to not take things too seriously. So if you are an event producer, if you are a part of community, if community is something that really matters to you, I'd love to hear what resonated or stuck with you most in this episode. And I would also love to thank you for tuning in to Holistic Ambition. This is Stephanie Thoma saying goodbye for now and inviting you to take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. Until next time.